So today I was guided to come to this park. And in this park I decided to do some meditation. And I did some meditation. And one thing I've noticed today is that emotions just have been, not just emotions, but anything really, has been fading into emptiness. So thought, any belief, any conception, any arising really has just passed away. It has faded into emptiness. It has arisen and passed. There hasn't been any clinging. So after contemplating this in the park, and I'm in the park right now actually, after contemplating it and meditating, I opened up this book, Dalai Lama's Heart of Meditation. And I opened it up to a page that I felt called to open it up to. It was a random page, but I thought this is some gold. And it happened to be exactly what I was thinking about today as well. So I thought I'd read out a bit of it. It's the title, The Space of Non-Involvement. No matter what adventitious or temporary conceptions are generated, illustrated by lust and hatred, pleasure and pain, recognize them as the mere vibrancy of innermost awareness. The power of those conceptual consciousness will weaken and not make connections as they did before, and one after the other getting stronger and stronger. If you are able to sustain the practice of recognizing innermost awareness, success at training this will be helpful even at times of generating strong desire or hatred, or undergoing strong pleasure from triumph and strong pain from defeat. For it is critical in the midst of these emotions to recognize innermost awareness, the very basis of release. When you are able to stay within the experience of the already identified basic nature, the true foundation and mode of release, without losing it, by not fluctuating from it, then conceptions that are generated appear right within the context of this basic nature, and thus, like writing on water, they immediately disappear, released into the sphere of innermost awareness, making no connections and no subsequent involvement. They melt into their own spot as soon as they are produced. Now, that's exactly what I have been starting to experience. It's like riding on water. It's like something that arises, and the key this whole time was allowing that innermost awareness, that emptiness, to dissolve the connections. And when you can give it that innermost awareness, it starts to fade away and you don't have that same level of suffering. And so that really comes from not clinging to it, right? Because you can feel an emotion negatively, and I used to feel emotions negatively, but there would be so much clinging that it would just stay there. It would continue rising. I might think another thought, which would provoke another thought, and soon I would be swamped by thoughts which would have their own emotions, which would just continue down the cycle. And so I think what meditation offers is very underrated. I don't think people realize how truly profound, how much of a superpower it can be to not have to hold on to everything, not have to hold on to all these negative emotions or anything that you don't want to hold on to. And so it can be really powerful. Let me just read out a little bit of the next part, which is, due to this, not making any subsequent connection, conceptual thought leaves no imprint. Just as when a bird flies in the sky, it leaves no tracks, so when no matter what conceptions are generated, they become trackless, self-cleansing. They cannot make subsequent connections. Whatever fluctuates is the royal sport of the truth body, self-purifying without a trace. And so, essentially this is what mindfulness can lead to, what awareness can lead to, what meditation can lead to, which is the training of the mind to leave no trace, leave no imprint, leave no heavy burden where you don't want to leave the burden. It allows you to move out of loops, move out of thought loops, move out of emotional issues, emotional feelings like aversion, desires, anger, hatred, shame. Because you're no longer attached to the energy strongly. So when the energy comes up, you allow yourself to process it. The awareness gives it space. And with space, it feels more expanded. You can think of it like a little point. There's a little point, and imagine that's where all your tension is, in this little point, right? And imagine that little point hits me, boom. It's gonna hurt if all the energy is concentrated in this little point and it hits me in the face. But imagine that was concentrated into a bigger object, and energy hits me, but it's concentrated so it doesn't really affect me, it doesn't hurt. I think that is something that's very crucial with awareness, because awareness is something that creates a more spacious nature. So instead of the emotion being channeled into a particular point, hitting you where it hurts the most, it's now a wider, spacious net arising in this place. You feel it, you might feel it, you might even feel it strongly, but it has no space to continue on. It's kind of a paradox in my analogy, but it has a space to be released. And so yeah, that's the topic of this video today, is just realize that as you continue practicing mindfulness, as you continue practicing meditation, as you continue allowing and giving and providing and holding space for emotions, holding space for whatever arises in your life, whatever desires, thoughts, feelings, you can move towards a space of no imprint. And so no matter where you are, just notice the little or the abundance of the spaciousness that you provide with your awareness. And that as you can provide this awareness to the thing that is arising, notice that it leaves less of an imprint, that the connections are not as strong. And when the connections are not as strong between you and associated thoughts, emotions and contractions, and in the space that things arise in, it facilitates a greater release, and it facilitates the thing disappearing without imprint. without a connection to move on to.